Hello students, this is a video about how to complete the lactase enzyme activity with data simulation. There's two parts to this. One, we're going to vary temperature, and the second part, we're going to vary pH. The enzyme that we will be working with in this lab is lactase. Lactase is an enzyme that helps break lactose down. Lactose is a disaccharide. It's a type of sugar that has two pieces. Lactase separates those pieces apart. And one of the pieces that gets separated is called glucose. So I can see how well lactase is working by putting lactase in some milk and measuring the amount of glucose that is created over time. If more glucose is created, then the reaction is happening faster. So let's go ahead and go to this simulation so we can see how it works. So over here, there's the different things that we can change. We could change the amount of lactose concentration. We're not going to. We're going to keep it at 500 because in an experiment, we only want to change one thing at a time. We can change the temperature, which we are going to change for this experiment. We can change the pH, which we're not going to change for this experiment. For our second experiment, we'll keep the temperature the same and only change the pH. So if we look at our data table, looks like the first rate that we're going to find is 0 degrees Celsius. So here, let's go to 0 degrees Celsius and click Run. We're actually going to do this 3 different times because those 3 times will potentially give us different data because there's some variation naturally. So what I can do is I can look at 20 minutes and I can click on the graph. And if I click right here on the graph, it'll tell me the number. Turns out for each one of these, there was 0. No glucose was created. Seems like this was too cold for lactase to work. So in my data table, one of these has been done for me. Um, this is backwards. So 0 um, milligrams per deciliter were created, and I divide that by 20 minutes. Oops, okay. 0 milligrams per deciliter were created, divide that by 20 minutes, and that gives me 0 milligrams per deciliter per minute. So that's my rate of reaction. In this case, 0. My second trial, also 0. So I can take 0 divided by 20, and that gives me 0. My last one, also 0. I can take these units and copy them so I can remember what they are. This final spot here, I'm going to find the mean. To find the mean, I add all 3 of them together and then divide by 3. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 0. Divided by 3 is 0. So 0 milligrams per deciliter per minute is the average amount of glucose created. Pretty much telling me, yep, lactase does not work then. My next trial is for 20 degrees Celsius. So let's reset this. Keep the initial lactose the same, keep the pH the same, but this time let's change the temperature to 20. So I'm going to run this again 3 times. So click Run, Trial 1, Trial 2, Trial 3. All right, it looks like this time there was some glucose created. So I'm going to click on this graph and hover over this 20-minute point so I can see how much was created. Looks like 484 was my first number. So over here I can say 484. I need to take that and I need to divide it by 20 because that's the amount of time that it is. So I'm going to use my phone as a calculator. I'm going to type in 484 divided by 20. And it looks like my answer here is 23.7, whoops, 23.7 milligrams per deciliter per minute. Then I can go back over here and go to 20 again. It looks like this time it's 475 for trial number 2. So 475 divided by 20, because it's still 20 minutes. We'll see what that's going to be. 475 divided by 20, 23.75 milligrams per deciliter per minute. And my last one here, trial number 3, the pink one, is 489. So I can say, okay, 489 divided by 20 minutes, because again, it's 20 minutes. Let's try that. 489 divided by 20 is 24.45 milligrams per deciliter per minute. Now to find my average, I'm going to add them all together. 23.7 plus 23.75 plus 24.45 equals 71 divided by 9, or 71.9, and then I'll divide that by 3, which gives me 23.97, because I'll round it, and that's in milligrams per deciliter per minute. So that tells me, hey, lactase worked faster at 20 degrees Celsius. Now, for 40 degrees, 60 degrees, and 80 degrees, some of the data is already done for you, so you only need to write down what you find. You might notice the data that's been done for you might be a little different than what the data would be if you did it yourself, because this is going to be different every time. There's some variation. But overall, the mean will tell us what is going on with the lactase. You're going to do this again for temperature and for pH. Make sure you're only changing one thing, either temperature or pH, not both, because that way we have a valid experiment. If you have any questions, let your teachers know.